Hello, everybody. Thank you for listening to Coffee Can't Fix Everything. This is a show where I talk about mental health over a cup of coffee. And today we're not in the usual space. This is not the Slow Down Coffee Shop, though I appreciate y'all. Next time, next show will be there. But we are here at ArtForce Iowa. Thank you so much for being on the show with me. Before we really get into what I want to talk about with you, I want to know more about you. Like, this is our first time actually being in person.
Yeah.
I've been rocking with you for a minute, like from afar, being like, go girl. But like,
Same. I'm like, look at what Corey's doing over there. That's cool. We'll loop up.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Eventually it'll happen.
Yeah.
But I want let the world know what you do.
So my name is Christine Herr, and I am the Executive Director of ArtForce Iowa. And I love being here because for such a long time, I never felt like I could fit anywhere in this city, in this state, being first-generation American born to refugee parents, doing art, right? Being an Asian woman, leading a nonprofit. There's not a lot of us here in Iowa.
That's real.
Right? And so for me, it's been such a privilege and a dream to be here because of everything that we do now. So at ArtForce Iowa, our mission is to not only support young people in creating art, but it's really to make sure that young people can see themselves and people who look like them, who also make art, who also are going through life and understanding that this is really messy, but we can do this together, right? So I think a lot of the time people just want to connect. And that's one thing I love about ArtForce is we're so centered in connecting and in healing that when I say our mission is creating opportunities for youth to transform through art, we really mean that, right? Our mission used to be transforming youth in need through art. And we went through this rebrand of really sitting with ourselves and recognizing we're not transforming the youth. We're creating opportunities for them to transform themselves. So we went through a whole rebrand so that our mission could really be not the savior complex, but this, you got what you need. You have it all in you to be who you want to be, while understanding that there are systems at play that make it difficult for you. Right? So what can we do to build a stronger foundation, to have these opportunities so that you know that you can do these things and that you know that there's community wrapped around you. So I love what I do. I mean, I think I wake up every morning and I'm like, thank you, God, thank you, universe, because I work with people who love people. And we love each other, and that's such a huge privilege that a lot of people don't get.
No, that's real.
Yeah.
And you can feel it too. It starts from the top. It starts with you. And I feel like that energy was probably already here and you amplified it. And
So
yeah. Oh, 100%. And because, like I was telling you before we went live, I first stopped on you on Instagram and you asked a simple question: how are you? And it felt like you were literally talking to me. And this was during a time, 2021, late 2020, 2021, where the world was on fire and at a standstill all at the same time. Like, it was just a weird time. And it was like a moment of, okay, it felt like 30 to 60 seconds of being able to breathe and like really think about, oh man, how am I today? And that's what I want. I really want to talk with you about that, because I joke about it, but like, in all honesty, it felt like I was watching, like I was a little kid watching PBS. Mr. Rogers. Or like,
that's the dream.
Yo.
That's the dream.
That's the dream.
Someone who could be on PBS where they're like, I trust that person.
Yes.
That person sees me.
100%.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I worked hard to be able to show up authentically as that person.
Yeah. And I appreciate the work that you did. And I want to dig into that that simple question of like, how are you? Like, one, what was it that walk me through what you were going through to say, hey, people need to be, I need to reach out to the people. Like, what was it about that question?
Honestly, it really came from a place of, I don't even know how the hell I'm doing.
Mm,
And I'm trying my best to make sense of what's happening, all the chaos, what's all the noise. How do I recognize and regulate my own feelings?
mm,
Right. And this was also during a time, and unfortunately it's still happening now, right? Where young people were afraid. Young people were,
yeah.
what am I supposed to feel? And so for me, walking through this and understanding who we are as an organization and knowing that we are people centered, that PSA really came out from a place of, how do we check in with each other
Mhm.
when we can't check in with each other physically
Right.
because of COVID, right? And so being able to just ask, how are you? It was also a way for me to check myself.
Mm,
And then to remind the people who are following this journey with us that, hey, we can't be in proximity to each other right now physically, but that doesn't mean there's a love. That doesn't mean
right.
that we can't check in, right? And in that time of COVID, we had moved all of our workshops from being in person to virtual. And a young person was like, ArtForce Iowa isn't a place. It's just wherever we are.
Oh,
It's
I love
wherever the
that.
people are. That's where ArtForce is. And that really has stuck with me to be like, you know what? We can connect with people regardless of it being in person or not. So why don't we just try to release this PSA video to just be like, hey, you good?
Right. Yeah.
How are you? Like, are you scared like me? Are you mad like me? Do you feel motivated to make the world better? Can we do it together? Can we be in community? And so it really came from that of young people really recognizing like, hey, yo, I used to come here after school, but now we're doing it virtually and I
Right.
still feel love. I still feel seen. So our force isn't a place. It's just wherever we are.
Right. Which was
It
a,
made these videos easier to
yeah.
produce because we can check in with people regardless of where we're at.
Right. Which was a fear during that time of like being so isolated and so alone. You're being left with your own thoughts
Yes.
and not really knowing, and to be honest, not really knowing who you can talk to about your fears.
Yeah.
Um, but there was something about having someone that was open enough to say, hey, how are you? Or even I go back to a question I have. I go back to the thought of, if there aren't those people who are asking those questions, like where would we be? Like genuinely though, not like you good? Oh, okay, and like just keeping it moving.
Yeah.
But like genuinely like, hey, how are you? Um, and sometimes that can be uncomfortable for people.
It can be uncomfortable. And I feel like we live in a world where we ask each other, how are you? And then our response is, I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then people move on. Right. So there isn't a genuine, authentic way to connect because we hear, how are you all the time?
Right.
And then we hear the responses of, I'm fine, I'm good. But really, like, nah, shit's wild.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to say that. I'm scared to say that. And I think there's something that happens when you're able to like connect with someone online and it's a video
Right.
and you know that you can respond, you can say whatever you want to say, and this person isn't going to hear it. Because sometimes, to me, I feel like sometimes the greatest thing we can do is just to reflect on how it is that we are doing. Because the world is fast paced. The world is always looking for some kind of transaction. And if you want to be transformative, you got to know what's here. You got to be able to do
Man.
What am I feeling? Where am I going? Am I stepping on 10 toes down? Or am I wobbling around because I feel like I can't be myself and that's why my back hurts? That's why I got feet problems. That's why I got
Right.
like headache problems. Like I can't be myself. So in this space, I can answer that question because no one's going to judge me because this girl's on the screen.
Right. You can sit, you can fight with your emotions. Yeah, you can wrestle with that.
And you can be genuine about it so that when someone does ask you and you know it's someone that you care about, you can be like, I'm not good. I am struggling. But we can't even get there when we can't acknowledge how we're doing.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So
yeah, there was something that I didn't, and I fought with that. There is a stereotype with Black men that we can be hurting inside and we will not tell the world because we need to be strong at all times. And I didn't really start to break that until like I had coffee can't fix everything. I've been a mental health advocate, talking about it, wouldn't talking about it to other people, telling other people they should go to therapy. Ain't even looked at therapy. It wasn't until I started going to therapy a couple years ago to where I was really able, I had no choice but to sit with myself. And as uncomfortable as it was at the time, it was so freeing that now I'm so open to talking about it. I got homies calling me asking if I'm okay. Like I text my guy. It's a true story. True story. I text my homie like, "Hey, bro, just checking. I hope you good, man. Just checking in with you. Love you, bro." Yeah. He called me. What's wrong with you?
Because we don't see those things. And that's the thing, especially with men.
Yeah.
I think with men, they're like, yo, that's a sign you want to kill yourself.
Yes. He thought I wanted to kill myself.
So are you okay?
I said, bro, I just was checking in.
We gotta normalize that for men, especially to be able to be like, I just love you. And I want you to know.
Yep.
You know? And I people will know this when they come and they talk to me and they know me. I always end my conversations with I love you, right? I love you. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, you're a random stranger, but hey. And I did it last week too. Matt dropped off our groceries. And I was like, all right, thanks, brother. I love you. And he was like, oh, I love you too. He walked away. And I was like, oh, it's just so natural now.
Right.
And that should be the thing.
Yeah, 100%.
It should be natural for us to be like, yo, I love you. And it doesn't come with this negative feeling of, is this person wanting to harm themselves?
Right.
Right? So normalizing that. But I love that was the first instinct on, instead of just bypassing it and being like, I love you too. It was I need to connect.
Yes.
I want to connect with my friend because I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, and it was like, no, man. Like I just checking in. You know what I'm saying? And it was you like, okay, you sure? And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. And I'm just laughing. He's like, okay, want to make sure. But those, like you said, to your point, those are conversations that we don't talk about. And something that going back to, just the initial start or the spark for the conversation, is having meaning behind the how are you. And in our society, you good? How are you doing? You good? Yeah, I'm good. And it's just, but how do you prepare yourself when someone says, no, I'm not, right? Because they're not prepared. I can kind of get myself through it, but if I'm just walking through and say, hey man, you good? No, I'm not. I'm like, oh shoot, now I got to put on the hat. Not a lot of people are prepared for the conversation. So like, what would you say to somebody that maybe wants to start having those conversations more, or be more prepared to say, when you ask, say, hey, how are you doing? Even on social media, right? Like you're asking the question, but what about the DMs and the responses? Like, how do you respond to like somebody's answer?
I really feel like the first step is knowing yourself and understanding that you're growing, healing, changing all the time, right? Because I know I can handle the conversation if someone says I'm not good because I also know how to handle myself. Ooh. right? And when I don't know how to handle myself, I know that I can do the self-reflection to be able to say, yo, I'm not good. I should not be asking this question. I should not be trying to do the most when I know I'm struggling. But then I also have a really great support system.
Right.
So not only is it about knowing yourself, but it's also, do I have people who can check in? Do I have people who know how to be the support I also need when I can't say it?
Right.
Right. And so it's about building this community for yourself. And then it's also about, how do I be a part of this community for somebody else? And then how do I know myself so that when I ask, how are you? I'm also prepared to not only listen to this person, but to also be able to say, look, I'm not good too.
Right.
Right. Like if they say, yo, I'm good, but I'm not good, then I'm like, well, can I tell you how I'm feeling? Because I'm not feeling good.
Yeah, I love your community piece. On the back of our coffee mugs, Healthy Project mugs, there's a quote that I love. And I feel bad because I use it everywhere I go. And I forgot to support this woman's name. It's not my quote, but it says, the marvelous thing about community is that it enables us to help others in ways we couldn't help ourselves.
Yeah.
And there's something about surrounding yourself with people that you call your community.
Yeah.
That when you are feeling that way, that you have somebody you can lean on.
Yeah.
Is so important. I do not believe that we are supposed to be walking this earth alone.
We're not.
We need community. We need people.
We weren't wired to be alone. That's why the loneliness epidemic is as wild as it is. People are dying from loneliness because we weren't made to be lonely. We were made to be in community, right?
Right.
And, one of the things that I can say that has really helped being able to have these harder conversations and have dialogue that is uncomfortable and painful at times and triggering
Yeah.
is the approach of healing-centered engagement, which is an approach and a practice that was coined by Dr. Sean Jin Wright from the Bay. So for him, healing-centered engagement is an evolution from trauma-informed care. So we know now with trauma-informed care that we don't ask, what's wrong with you?
Right. Right.
We say, what happened?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what happened. But healing-centered engagement says, I want to know what happened to you, but I also want to know what's going right.
Right.
I also want to know who you want to be. What's your hope? What are your dreams? And so healing-centered engagement as a practice allows the practitioner, so you and I, to also be able to recognize, holy shit, I need healing too.
Right.
And my healing is contingent of your healing. So even though I might feel like I'm healing, if you're not, I'm not healing.
Right.
If you're healing and I'm not, we're not healing. Because healing is community-based, it's community-rooted, right? It's very much the quote, we're not free until we're all free.
That part. Yeah. Yeah.
It's the same thing with this approach of healing-centered engagement, that as a practitioner, we don't have to know it all. We can show up with 10 toes down and tell folks, look, I'm pretty fucked up too.
Right.
I got a lot of shit that I'm working on too. I'm not better than you. I want to walk on this path with you because I know I need healing too. And there's something humbling about being able to say, like, I need that too. I'm just like you too. We're doing this together too. And I always tell people, like, look, I don't make sense to you until you have gone through ego death.
Right.
Because there's nothing that you can tell me that I don't already know about the shit that I've already done, that I regret, that I wish I could undo. You can't hold that against me because I know that I did these things that I'm so ashamed of. And because I know that I can show up and do better. And I know I can give myself grace when I do mess up because I am going to mess up. Because I'm not perfect. And if I can do that and if I can model that, then maybe we can model grace for ourselves and for each other so that we can show up for each other, because we're gonna mess up.
Yeah.
Right? And there has to be room for that.
There has to be, there's a freedom with that.
Yes.
There's a freedom of understanding. It's going, hey, play as fuck up. Like, it's going to happen.
It's gonna happen.
It's inevitable.
It's inevitable.
But how do you bounce back from it? And that leads to my next. I want to go back to what you said, how you had to work on yourself first.
Yeah.
With that bounce back, what was your start? How did you start to work on yourself so you can continue doing that work with other people?
Well, so my parents came to the U.S. as refugees in the late 70s after the Vietnam War. So I'm a Hmong American, and a lot of people don't know who Hmong people are, right? And so for me, growing up in a Hmong household, I am still very proud to be Hmong, but it was difficult for me because not a lot of people knew who we were. And for me, it had always been, well, Hmong people fought with Americans against communism. Like, we were supporting American soldiers. How do they not know who we are? Right? And I think there's a little bit of trauma from there, growing up as a kid and thinking that, like, oh, we're going to cover the Vietnam War in school. Now they'll talk about Hmong people.
Oh.
Right? And then I can have an identity where people understand and know who I am. And I'm not just some other Chinese or Japanese person, but that they'll understand, oh, Hmong people, they helped the American CIAs fight against communism during a time that was really difficult, a war that nobody wanted. Right? And that's the journey that brought Hmong people to America, is that we were promised if we fought this war, we would be able to live and make a new life in America. And so for me, it was growing up and not, in Iowa with not a lot of other Hmong people, right? And still wanting to be proud of who I am, but recognizing that I'm living in a place, in a country that also is erasing who I am.
Oh, man.
Right? And then on top of that, I got like the cultural shit where I'm an American kid and my parents aren't. And we're trying to be traditional, but we're also trying to be American. And so things like wanting to sing, that's doing art. That is not a thing that refugee kids do, right?
Right.
And growing up, my parents would be like, look, my dad was a teenage soldier in the war. And for him, it was like, I didn't swim across the Mekong River for you to fucking sing. I didn't work this hard. I didn't live in the jungles for 2 years for you to do this. So I want you to take this opportunity to become a doctor, to become a lawyer, to become someone important, because the arts aren't important, right? And I understand that now as an
Right.
but back then I was like, but that's all I want to do. I just want to sing, I want to write songs. I want to do art because I was suicidal by all of this pressure from my parents to be this certain person, that the way that I could free myself was doing art. But that was something that they could not accept.
Right.
And so I think for me, it was, as a young Hmong American girl who's the first generation in her family to be born here, how do I reckon with understanding where my parents are coming from, but also understanding who I want to be? And it took so long for me to understand that, like, my parents, they don't hate me. They don't want me to be happy. It's just they suffered so much.
Right.
That they want better for us because they didn't get that. Right? And then I think about the generational trauma of how my parents were parented and how they reflected that parenting.
That's real.
Right? And so growing up, there were pain points with my own parents, whether it was I was too loud or I was too fat or I wasn't smart enough. And a lot of those things really made me a person who not only hated herself, but a person who just had no direction. Right? And so being able to, understand that everything that I've gone through makes me who I am. And I can't keep running away from my pain. I can't keep running away from my hurt. I need to be able to like sit with this and recognize it for myself. And I was lucky that I have like I love my older brother. He's my best friend. And I had people in my life who were my anchors, right? I had teachers who were like, Christine, you are a phenomenal artist. You are an amazing singer. We see you. We love you. We appreciate you. And so for me, having adults in my life who saw that, it helped me with my own mother-father wound. And that's still something that I'm going through right now as an adult, right? In recognizing like my parents couldn't give me the love that I needed because they also didn't receive the love that they needed.
Man.
And I used to be so upset about this growing up.
Yeah.
And then I came here to ArtForce back in 2015, and we started doing trauma-informed care work. We started doing healing-centered engagement work. We started learning about ACEs, right? That the more adverse childhood experiences you have, you might have negative health outcomes as an adult. And all of these things really showed me that, like, girl, you got a lot of generational trauma.
Man.
But our families didn't just give us trauma, they also gave us resiliency. They also gave us the opportunity to dream. They also gave us what hope looks like. And so for me, it was recognizing like there's a lot of shit there. I grew up thinking a lot of different things. And now I'm an adult and I have more knowledge and I can reflect on what that looked like for me as a kid who wanted more emotional love and support, and understanding that now as an adult, it's not that they didn't want to give it to me, they just didn't know how.
Didn't know how to.
Yeah. And now as an adult, I can look at my parents, and even though I don't have a close relationship with them right now, the kind of hate and anger I felt growing up, it's more of a, this sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that they've gone through so much and they are unwilling to do the work. And I had to accept and love them for who they are. Because if I don't, it impacts me and how I believe what my worth is. Right? And so it's been just doing a lot of inner work.
Man.
And a lot of recognizing like, oh my God, I thought my parents hated me, to they don't hate me. They just don't know how to love me the way I needed to be loved. And that's not something that I should shame them for, which is something that I did.
Right.
Right. And also recognizing like, if I want to be a better person, if I want to live in my authentic truth, then that also means that I got to recognize when I'm being a nasty person so that I can stop being that person because I don't want to be that.
Mm.
And then also being able to give grace again to myself and to the people in my life. So it's been this long journey of like understanding how trauma impacts people differently, understanding the generational trauma, understanding like, how much worth and value we put on ourselves because of other people, recognizing, if I look at myself in the mirror, am I happy with who I am?
Right.
And if I'm not, what do I need to do so that I can be?
Yeah.
And how do I surround myself with people who want to love me the way I want to be loved, who want to support me? And how do I hold boundaries and also, recognize when there can be love there, but doesn't mean it's healthy,
Mm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like this journey it's been this up and down, and really being able to sit with being completely uncomfortable,
Right.
and also recognizing like, what is my capacity and how can I meet myself deeply so that others can meet me deeply? And how can I, because I do believe that like if you can't meet yourself deeply, other people can't. And if people can't meet themselves deeply, it's hard for you to go and meet them deeply too.
Right. And it's hard to make that connection and make that community connection.
Yeah.
You said a whole lot there that the whole time I'm just like, oh God, dang. Like I'm like, as you're talking, I'm like, yeah, I'm an asshole. Because like I'm thinking about like all the like, oh man, all the trauma that I've had with like with my dad that I had to break down in therapy. And it's like, oh dang, yeah.
Yeah.
I was probably probably an asshole at some point of how I looked at this man or how I looked at this situation.
Yeah.
And like that type of growth and that type of like working on yourself, that is not a microwave. That is not overnight.
And it's gross.
Oh my gosh.
It's so gross. I'm always telling people like healing is like the nastiest thing.
Yo.
Because it's the scab that you want to pick.
Oh, it's the scab, it's the ugly crying. It's the
ugly crying. It's like, you know, it's just so much. And then you have to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, I was a dick.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and I think of like a moment right now with my mom. I'm 16 years old and she's picking me up from school and we got into a fight and I was so nasty. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even when you feel justified, like I feel justified in how I'm feeling, but now I'm working on myself and like taking a step back.
Yeah.
And like, oh man. Yeah. But again, it may not feel like it. There is beauty in that though, because you are growing. And you know, the up and down, the roller coaster you're talking about, I don't think emotionally, at least for me anyway, I can't speak for you or anybody else, I don't think it ever evens out. I think it's always an up and down.
I agree.
There's always going to be growth. And, you know, even just as a father, I'm learning about my emotions and how I look at my son or deal with my daughter and how I deal with them differently and how I'm like, oh my gosh, like all the things, it never stops.
It never stops. It never stops. And, you know, I think sometimes for us, it's like, I know for me, when I get into a shame shitstorm, it's hard for me to not spiral out and to not hate myself and to not live on that hill. That's like, you are a bad person. Because look at all the shit that you've done. And I think about the sermon that at the time, Pastor Cam Scott with Cityscape.
Okay.
We did a sermon back in the early, I want to say it was like the early, maybe not early 2020s. I think it was like mid 2015, 2016, 2017 time. And he said something that just has really stuck with me that was like, you have a tent. You can't live there. So when you're done feeling that, when you've seen it, when you understand it, you pack up a tent. You don't live there. You don't build a house there.
Man,
and that analogy has really stuck with me to be like, that's it. Because I love building homes in places that make me feel like shit. And then I'm ashamed. And then I can't grow out of it. I'm ashamed because I'm embarrassed. And it's being able to recognize, like, I should feel that shame. Because that means that I understand that what I did wasn't okay. We should feel that. We should feel uncomfortable. And I'm trying not to tell people what to do or what they should feel. But I'm like, if you know you've done something wrong, it is better to accept that you've done something wrong and then do better.
Man.
Versus not acknowledging it at all. Because I think we live in a world where we get so passive, right?
Yep.
And it's like, well, no, I can't trust you because you don't understand what you did to me. But now I don't want to shame you because I want you to be able to move out of that too. Because I know shame doesn't get people to move out of it. Because I know shame doesn't get me to move out of it. And so just being able to be like, okay, I'm going to pitch a tent here. I'm going to reflect on some of these things that happen. And I'm not going to live there. Because I do want to keep moving.
Man, Jennifer Lewis said something similar. And she said, the longer you sit in shit, it stops stinking.
Oh,
And, you know,
that's so fucking real.
Isn't
Oh
that
my
crazy?
God.
And I can, and when she said it, I'm like, yeah, because I can see myself. Because sometimes sitting in it, it's very comfortable. Like, oh, I love sitting in this shit right now. You know, I just want to stew on things and like be upset and angry, right? But the longer you're there, like you forget you're there. It's just who you are.
Yeah.
And I always think about that when I get anxious. And it's always something I tell other people when, like, if I have the conversation, like, how are you doing? And they're anxious or they're feeling this type of way about something. I always bring up that quote, like, hey, it's okay to feel that.
Yeah.
Don't stay there.
Don't stay there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard. It's hard to have those conversations, right?
Yeah.
But I've always been honest on like, look, if you're not prepared to hear someone say, shit, while I am not okay, do not ask.
Don't ask.
Do not ask the question.
Abort mission.
And it's okay to not ask. It's okay to just be like, hey, I hope you're doing okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I'm just thinking of you. It doesn't have to be, how are you?
Right.
Because it is a very loaded question. And if we're not equipped to be able to like respond,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's capacity, whether it's you don't feel like you're ready,
Right.
have a conversation like that, you just don't ask. Just do not ask.
Yeah, because you don't know where you're gonna go down.
And I know a lot of people might be like, well, that's so stupid to then not ask them, to not know how they're doing. But it's also, you can't re-trigger someone because you think that that's an appropriate question to ask. And you can't go re-triggering yourself because you think that's the question you should be asking. Because there could be other things like, hey, tell me one good thing that happened today.
Right.
Frame it differently, right? It's not, how are you? It's saying, I want to know what you had for lunch.
Mm-hmm.
What's one thing that you're looking forward to? And I think that's something that's, in the training that we have done, that's been able to help me really be like, okay, if I want to connect with someone and I know that I'm feeling really low in my tank, that I don't have the capacity, I don't want to ask, how are you? Because that is so inconsiderate to the person who I care about. And it's so inconsiderate to me. Right. Mm-hmm. So it's being able to, that's why I think like you just got to know yourself. You got to know yourself. A lot of that self-reflection.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we hear this all the time. You can't save everyone if you can't save yourself.
That's real.
So, like, no matter how strong your desire is to be there for people, if you do not know your own capacity, you're really not going to be helping people. Because we also want this to be sustainable.
Yeah.
And so how do you sustain yourself while also doing the work? And it requires a lot of dialogue with yourself. And I know we don't spend enough time talking to ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
We think we're good. And it's like, maybe before you check in with someone else, you check in with yourself.
Yeah.
So that you can show up and be able to check in with somebody else. And it's hard. It's hard. I mean, I'm not perfect at it. I still struggle. And I see people that I love who are struggling and I want to support them. And I also understand that like I'm doing them a disservice.
Yeah.
I can't even be present when they're telling me that they're going through something.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to be like, hey, I acknowledge that you're struggling. I want to come back to you when I know I have capacity. Because I love you.
And that, I would take that, other than what I used to do, and I would let a homie or a friend of mine just give all of their emotions. And I'd be sitting there like, damn, that's crazy.
I gotta go now.
Like, man. And I'm thinking about like, I was like, hey, I got some stuff going on too, but like I can't do that to you. So I'm like, oh man, I'm not all the way there.
Yeah.
Right. And the best thing for me to do in that moment, what I've started doing now is a good practice for me, is if someone wants to vent, I say, are you venting for me just to get it out, or do you want a response? Because I can just listen.
Yes. Yes, I love that. Do you want a reaction? This is what you want a reaction. You want me to be like, oh shit, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
Do you want me to help you problem solve?
Yeah.
Or do you just want me to listen to you, not react, not give you a solution, and just be a person?
Yeah, because sometimes that's good as anything. Just
Yeah.
I'll call it like, hey, I don't need no solution. I just gotta get this off my chest.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just get
And you
get it
need
off.
friends who are like, yeah, let's listen. I'm listening.
Yeah.
I'm listening. I won't cause a drama scene. I'll listen.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Christine. This is the moment. Thank you for, first of all, this was a great first podcast and face-to-face with you.
Yeah, yeah.
This is awesome. One thing I like to do on the show is have you look in the camera, and if there's somebody watching and you want to give them a word, something that can be encouraging, what would you say to that person?
Oh, I said this earlier to Corey. I'll say it to you. Do not be the person that says no to yourself. So always ask someone, whether it's, can I come over and have dinner? Can I borrow and rent your space out? I think the worst thing we do to ourselves is limiting ourselves when we say, nah, I'm not gonna ask because that's stupid. You giving yourself your first no, don't do it. Let someone else give you that no, because you never know. They might not say no. They might say, yeah, I got a job for you. Yeah, come use my space. Yeah, come over and have dinner with me. So I wish I would have told myself that a lot sooner when I was young, because I lost so many opportunities to grow because I said no to myself. So my encouragement to you is, don't say no to yourself. Let someone else say it. Because the worst thing that can happen is just, so no. But maybe you'll get a yes. So.
I love it. I love it. Christine, thank you so much.
Thanks for letting me be here.
Yes.
Fun.
This was great. This was a great conversation. Again, for those listening, thank you so much for being here. I am not a mental therapist. But there will be links to therapists and other mental health resources in the description of this episode. Again, coffee can't fix everything, but we're going to have a conversation to break stigma and have this conversation one coffee at a time. I'll holler at you next time.